listen.
Gamers never saw it.
You never see it in the game. You never see his face.
Never see it in the game, and so that's a big moment in the Halo franchise, in the history of Halo, is to take the helmet off. But yeah, it did feel like in order to tell a very human story, about a soldier who's exploring his own identity, about the effects of war on the society and the effects of war on the individual. In order to tell a story like that over a long form, you really had to get underneath the helmet.
It's a great humanizing moment when you take the helmet off, and it also underscores how this is a great story.
Now, I didn't grow up playing the game, so I didn't feel like I would have much input to a video game TV series like this, but that turned out neither did the creators. So before I deleted my Paramount Plus account, because, one of these streamers has to go, I decided to go through their entire catalog to see if their whopping one movie a month would convince me to keep the service. And clearly Paramount bet it all on Halo. Like, all the marketing pushes you to watch it even after you've watched it. They've been pushing Spielberg as producer more than he has. They were able to get a hefty budget for the show to the point that they've greenlit upcoming seasons to continue this massive story that they've planned. So, speaking just as a casual TV watcher, it was alright. It's not the sci-fi masterpiece like I'm sure fans wanted it to be, but it's not the worst thing I've seen either. It's like a CW show where they just sped IP at it. So while fans were surprised he took off the helmet and showcased his cheeks, nobody warned me he was going to be turning his other cheeks too. That just gives it this really confusing tone where they want to gear it for newer viewers, but it's also expecting you to know who Master Chief already was. So it's creating this really weird push and pull where it feels like it doesn't know where it wants to go.
I've had enough of being manipulated for the day.
And that's kind of been the whole run for them. Paramount uploaded the pilot to YouTube and then had to remove it because it was getting too many dislikes, which they got caught trying to pause.
You've paused nothing.
It's just funny to remember that in the early years of YouTube, Paramount sued them for having clips of their shows on the site, but when they took them to court, they outed themselves because it turned out that Paramount employees were ordered to upload said clips because it was actually helping their shows.
That's not procedure.
So because this is a Paramount review and they hate YouTube more than red hates blue, I want to give a big shout out to our video sponsor, CleanMyMac X, before we get into full spoilers. It's the App Store featured app that's been uncluttering Macs for over a decade and has been trusted by millions around the world and at least one user in Antarctica. I first tried it back in my school days to keep an eye on my storage and drives, and now they've updated it with this new menu app that details everything you need to know about your machine, and it even comes in clutch whenever you're streaming to make sure things don't slow down right when you're getting to the good part. It's filtering out old files you may have missed and helps clear all that pesky cache files that you don't know where they come from, all through their simple and breezy smart scanner that does all the work for you. So it's like Cortana, but without the backtalk. It checks the temperature of your Mac to make sure it's not some heavy app taking a toll on the RAM when it's just you livid with what they did to Halo.
I don't like this.
And it's so efficient, you can rebirth one of your old Macs by installing this bad boy and giving it new life. So if you're interested, click the link in the description to download CleanMyMac X for free and get your Mac back in order running at peak performance, just like Master Chief's.
That's according to the promotional material.
Let me explain. So the series begins in the planet Madrigal in the year 2552, and it looks and they even export energy just like Arrakis. Unbeknownst to them though, there's also an artifact in the caves that possesses an even greater power, and that's why these aliens who look like Hugh Jackman in movie 43 are ready to go in and raid them. But while the High Charity is focused on powering their ships, a group of Madrigal kids are just looking to power their trips.
Empower your drugs.
Kwan Ha is the leader of the group before the attack, and then the only member of it after it. Since she has the strongest knees in the game, show, she runs away to warn her father, General Jin, about the attack, and that's when the UNSC sends in their powerful Spartans.
One Spartan is worth 100 Marines.
But Janka.
They're so legendary that their suits are named after Thor's hammer.
Spartans.
Master Chief arrives, superhero landing and all, and besides him moving like Chappie and having that CGI halo around his gun, there are some cool POV style shots during the fight sequences that I thought were really awesome, but whenever they break from it, you just realize the whole thing is lit like daytime television.
You people can make video look like anything.
Luckily, these aliens aren't that bright when it comes to fighting, because they'll have them crouched just to set up their own headshot, but they still end up killing like 150 civilians.
Wait!
149 civilians. The UNSC defeats the aliens and takes Kwan and the object they were after with them as we meet the cast of the ship. There's Halsey, a scientist who hates politicians but is still a higher up who can picture genetic propaganda. There's Miranda, a scientist who doesn't consider herself a politician but has a father who's a higher up and gets her places while she pitches people propaganda.
Upload a few words to the other colonies. I think that it would go a long way to putting aside whatever these politicians are bickering about and helping us focus on the real war.
And Admiral Margit, who, she's right.
This is dirty business, all of it.
Kwan's dad hated the UNSC, so she plays along in sake of getting independence for Madrigal. We then see Chief still processing this vision of a family that he got when he touched the object. Meanwhile, he meets Quan, who's processing him killing her mother, and then Chief processing an order to go and kill her.
Chief's always got a plan.
The UNSC is nasty, though, because they're like willing to kill anyone as long as it keeps the economy going. You know, they all see each other as bad, but they all play a part. You know, everything they justify to protect their planet is a reach, but, you know, they only care about the future, not the present.
Drop the gun. And if he makes a move, drop him too.
Honestly, like, they try to choke them out just because he refused to execute 72, and now they activate the other Spartans to take out their biggest weapon, which doesn't seem smart, but they also leave open drinks in a lab where they're ripping open alien limbs, so I don't know. Chief and Quan survive the episode through the power of friendship, and after all those POV shots to put us in his perspective, he takes off the helmet, touches the artifact, and downloads a DLC skin to the ship, and they dip.
Strap in.
Episode 2 showcases Vishnu, one of the bad guys, who's taking advantage of Madrigal and fasting in any screen time he can get. He could never crack a deal with Quan's dad, but after the slaughter, he has control of Madrigal and all of the hydrogen, so he's executing lines of people while executing deals with the UNSC. We also get a flashback to Chief and his scarred past, with some pretty solid casting. It turns out that he was number 117 in the Spartan program that was experimenting on them to make them super soldiers, leading him to almost running away with 066.
That ain't training, man. That's programming.
We then cut back to the present future, where we almost get an explainer on how their space travel works, but then it's like a Paramount exec said, no, it's too boring. Cut to the pretty colors.
If you think of space like a ball of yarn with multiple threads to the same destination.
You're ruining it.
He reunites with 066, who now goes by Soren and is running the Rubble, a collection of livable asteroids where all the misfits go, and where they supposedly have the best churros in the Haloverse.
Got any good churros today?
Yes, it's hot.
All right, give me half a dozen.
Since Quan now has a bounty, the safest place for her ends up being with a pirate and his family who love to smoke till they're soaring on clarity, but because this artifact is still too obscure for Chief, he keeps it brief. Soren takes him to a dude named Reth, who explains to him that the Blessed One has an obligation with this thing. That sparks more memories, leading Chief to then see himself as the Chosen One as he chooses Soren to babysit Quan. During all that, the council's talking about gas prices. Halsey pitches her AI Cortana that's more than just a program, no one really agrees with it, because her Jarvis includes actual clones that would be sacrificed in order to create this system. So when she starts pushing that behind their back and also has the artifact in her possession, she starts twisting in a way where she's not letting anything get in her way.
John, your actions have created a host of problems, not just for you, but for the whole Spartan program and for me personally.
Oh, also, Miranda's mad that she's been sidelined. In episode 3, we get the backstory to the character of Maki, who's been working with the aliens. We see that they had detected her as being divergent way back in the day and took her back with them, killing her brother and leaving her with his book that she carries to this day. In the future present, she infiltrates the ship to find the keystone and knows that she's close, she just can't place her finger on it. We learn that the artifact is pre-human and pre-covenant, which are what the aliens are called.
Separate teams. Parallel teams.
Back in Halsey's lab, her clone thinks that they're pulling a sister's keeper on her for her organs, which, I mean, kinda, since they're gonna take your brain, but at least it's not with this creepy assistant who wanted her head, so good thing they dumped the clone body in acid.
That must be the Master Chief.
They end up injecting the AI into his mind, that way we can keep seeing his face without having to worry about the helmet, but it was cool that while she's a clone of Halsey, they did get the original voice actress to come in and play her so that Halsey can argue with her AI self.
This is not what I signed up for.
Ma'am, I don't think you've ever written anything. Before reuniting with his team, Master Chief rips out his blue emotional chip that suppressed his urges in order to make him a good soldier, but then Cortana just keeps code blocking him.
This is coming from inside you, Chief?
Go away.
I like how they don't even realize that they're going to be the next up for this experiment, you know? Soldier Kai is just upset that another woman's on Chief's mind, literally, but her eyes were on his cheeks. Kai then decides to mimic Chief by also taking out her giver pill, even though she's already caught feelings, and I love how her buddy's asking her what's up and is not looking at the scar that's right in front of her, like the evidence that's just left there. Cortana then helps Google his past in order to track his memories, and she gives him the LME about his planets and how a virus wiped most of them out, but it could also be the place where the second artifact is buried as he gets another vision about a vision. Oh, and Miranda's Halsey's daughter, by the way. For episodes 4 and 5, I feel like they could be combined considering all the similar flashbacks. We see Quan go back to save her people just to blow their cover by putting them in even more danger. Now she's on Venture's kill list as she keeps on her mission to protect Madrigal by destroying Madrigal.
You need to face reality. There's no more heroes.
Meanwhile, while Chief is dealing with anxiety, Kai's dyeing her hair. It may just be me, but there were so many scenes where it looked like she was giving this little smile, like she was about to burst out laughing into a blooper clip.
Very well. Good luck out there, Kai.
You too, ma'am.
I swore they would go break character. I thought Miranda took out her blue pill too.
We're sort of like sisters.
I gotta say, petty officer, there's something very odd about you.
Damn, Miranda with the side eye. Chief goes back to his home planet of Eridanus with Halsey, where he drives with his helmet on, I guess, for the stuntman. But then when he goes to explore, he does that in the wild raw. He has them dig for the artifact while he's deep in his emotions.
What am I?
It turns out that Halsey would go shopping for kids back in the day, and that's when she met a 6-year-old John who had the upper body strength of a Marine. She would claim that she's recruiting the kids, when in reality, she was replacing them with clones that would expire from a disease in a couple of months. As she experimented on the originals, she would train them by having them kill their own pets. Pretty much everything but teaching them how to hold a gun. John seeks out to get answers from the new artifact and is about to rage out on Halsey when they legit just disable him like Paramount does comments. He wakes up to an aerial attack where the Empire loses the artifact they just found and they get Trojan tricked into picking up Maki. And even in an active war zone, they still have more mass off than Future. Like they Wolverine them into having metal skeletons, but then in some scenes, like they can't Samson down a wall. Kai went through all that training and is still jacked, but after the pill being taken out, the combat training info is gone.
Switch to secondary.
I know how the game is played, Cortana.
In the middle of the battle, Halsey remembers she's a mom and rescues Miranda from the sidelines. And I don't know if she's like this in the game, but I don't get how an AI has more personality than the woman she's a clone of.
Oh yes, I noticed that too. It's a nice color on her.
It's also kind of wonky to see how much control Cortana actually has over him, because it feels like it depends on what the writers need. Sometimes she'll speak out loud when nobody really asks for it, and then other times when she should and she feels John needs help, she doesn't say anything. So pretty much the inconsistencies has been the biggest consistency for the show. Episode 6 begins with yet again another flashback to the chief getting kidnapped, so he decides to trap Halsey inside to test if this AI can truly control his body, like she just did in the other episode. They end up interrogating Halsey as well, who they're pinning everything on since it was her idea to continue the human race by sedating everybody. But I also dig this goofy two-way mirror Bluetooth that they had going on. Margaret arrests Halsey, who's now in Martha Stewart jail, and she gives the job to Miranda. So of course, Halsey contacts her daughter to get contacts on her. Like, poor Miranda gets no respect from her own bloodline.
Family, it's just not a concept I believe in.
Halsey reboots Cortana, who now fully comes off as an advanced Siri, Alexa, Kimmy, whatever the Microsoft one is called, and it leaves John to get too into his head.
My data suggests you are experiencing anxiety.
He meets Maki and is told that they're the same.
The Covenant call me Hirajo, the Blessed One.
They tell him that they have a 2 in a billion DNA connection as they keep her in room 316 where John so loves to visit, he gives up his dignity.
Nothing I say to you will make any sense until the benefits are manifest.
He touches the artifact no one's supposed to, yet again, and it causes both John and Maki's vitals to go crazy since they're so close to each other that they seem to become one. Episode 7 is the Quan and Soren episode with a mini flashback dealing with Quan going back to help her magical family. In the present, she connects with Soren's wife because she too lost her people, but Quan disagrees and not doing anything about it because that's the wrong thing to do. So Soren agrees to help for money.
Memory is what lets you know who you are and reminds you what's important to you.
After delaying payment, Quan turns on Soren and knocks him out, leaving him in the middle of the desert. Mad Quan then drives down a Fury Road and learns about her past, Happy Death Day style, reminding you why you don't just drink whatever people give you.
Because it's wrong.
Now, I personally think that her character has a lot of potential, especially when they're expanding a lot of the stuff in this universe, but I just feel like the writers do her dirty. Like, they even write their own characters to insult her as the punchline.
Pain in the ass little girl.
Midway through, they've tripled her bounty, and Quan's tripled the amount of family she's gotten killed. Soren starts getting called out back home and is disrespected as a leader, so he busts Squirrel's nuts and gets back out there to prove himself. He reunites with Quan, who knew better than to fight Chief on her own, but is now calling out this season's bad guy, just them two, with his whole army. In the town they completely took over, they win it before the next ad break even happens. The bad guy gets blown up, Soren leaves with the cash, and Quan gets the money shot. And then none of these two even appear for the last 2 episodes. After the break, these two are seen walking around town, bonding, until they get to know each other.
Propelling all those who are worthy on a great journey to the sacred ring.
And those who aren't worthy?
Cleansed.
Don't you hate it when your new girlfriend's a Homelander fan? After one frolic in the park, Maki's got him whipped though. He literally goes to the library to get her Goodreads book list. They bond over their scarred past, and they... Was it one chief had enough?
I think it's safe to say you don't know what Master Chief is going to do at this point.
Now, I think Pornstache is a decent actor. I like him and his brother. I'm not blaming him. I'm blaming the writing. It's not bad to have a main character who stumbles after they've been solidified, but like later on, he hasn't been solidified to everybody. It's still early. It's clear you're relying on the adaptation that people know, and that's fumbling the whole premise. But, they love the butts. Good guy butts, bad guy butts, equality butts. Honestly, the whole show's ass. After committing identity theft on her daughter, Halsey uses her credentials to communicate with Maki.
I love humanity, but humans are the problem.
Honestly, I think she's just mad the prison room is as big as their top scientists.
That's why they need us, Cortana, to save them from themselves.
It's that Agent Smith logic, she's like the lizard, just doesn't want to give people the choice, and it's what contrasts her and her daughter. They're both curious, but only one has humanity.
John is no longer alone in the galaxy.
Well, John was never alone. He had me.
Of course.
Damn. Not even she believed that. Halsey activates the Spartan since her AI has more empathy than she does. As John continues to fight military-grade weapons without a helmet, my man even gets a quick workout in before Halsey dips on them. Miranda eventually solves the voice recording just in time for the finale, but not in time for when it mattered, as they literally walk Maki straight to the artifact, giving her the chance to touch it. Man, if this was Capture the Flag, you practically guided her to beat you. The finale begins with the Spartans finally learning the truth about Halsey's master plans and how she replaced them. Someone finally smacks the assistant, and finally we're getting some justice for that score. Even non-gamers like myself know. Halsey tries to escape, but Kai pulls a Tom Cruise run in order to get her arrested again. But they're so done with her that even her own daughter mentions the death penalty, Article 72.
You've rung up quite a list of charges. Starts with kidnapping and ends with treason.
And of course she sent her other me. Maki takes both artifacts back to the Covenant, hoping they finally pick her. And they do. It's just as a sacrifice, so she should have stayed with that Master Blaster. The Spartans head out on their impossible mission and begin it with a halo jump. Kai ends up shooting Maki. Fritz gets cooked. And right before John gets hit with the Red Ring of Death, Cortana just takes over his body and murders everyone. They save the day, the series, and greenlight a sequel as they fly away with the artifacts again in their possession.
Yeah, come to daddy.
Overall, they have a decent storyline going on that I wish was just written better. The characters have potential. It's just undercut by poor episode structures and not knowing how to balance their lore, their tone, even the VFX. It would be great if it was in a video game, but as a movie, no lie, this thing is going to age 10 years before the next Avatar comes out. As for season 2, Paramount better start posting more stuff before it comes out. Because honestly, y'all are uploading more to YouTube than you do your own service.
What is it you like?
Nuts.
Thank you all for checking out this video. I'm curious to know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Again, I don't think it's the worst show, but any criticism when it comes to Paramount, and boom, they'll ding you. I did think it was interesting that at the end, Master Chief no longer talks. I had to ask Cortana to search it up, and it's a whopping 4 minutes that he speaks in the first game, so yeah, night and day.
I miss you.
Wake me when you need me.
In the end, it might just be too little for new viewers and not enough for the gamers. I think it's bad when the red versus blue animated recaps are kind of better than the show, but that's what happens when you're trying to take it a new direction. And maybe in the second or third season it gets better, but I feel there's a lot of different things they could have done with a property so big. But this is just something that's approaching it where he's John. He's not Master Chief. He's Johnny Boy. But I'm curious to know people's thoughts on this. Any Easter eggs or things that you would recommend for me to check out in the Halo universe. And until next time, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll send you a PS6.